On the day before Thanksgiving in 1971, a quiet man walked into Portland International Airport and bought a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. He wore a dark suit, a white shirt, and a black clip-on tie, and nothing about him made airport workers panic. When Northwest Orient Flight 305 took off, he handed a note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner, and at first she thought it was just another phone number from a passenger. He leaned closer and told her she should read it now because he had a bomb. Inside his briefcase, she saw red cylinders and wires, enough to make the threat feel horribly real. The man demanded $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. He also stayed calm the whole time, ordering a bourbon and soda, paying for it, and speaking so evenly that the crew later said he never seemed wild or rushed. When the plane landed in Seattle, the airline gave him the money and the parachutes, and all 36 passengers were released unharmed. The ransom came in $20 bills with recorded serial numbers because investigators hoped the cash would eventually lead straight back to him. Cooper kept the pilots, a flight engineer, and flight attendant Tina Mucklow, then ordered the plane back into the air toward Mexico City with a refueling stop in Reno. He told the crew to fly low, slow, and with the landing gear partly deployed, which was a strange and dangerous way to travel through bad weather at night. Somewhere over southwest Washington, with cold rain and heavy wind outside, he lowered the rear stairs and prepared to vanish. At 8:13 that night, the crew felt a sudden change in air pressure, and investigators believe that was the moment he jumped into the darkness with the ransom money tied to his body. By the time the plane landed again, he was gone. Search teams spread across forests, rivers, and mountains, but they found no body, no parachute, and no clear trail. The case should have ended with a dead hijacker in the woods, yet almost nothing appeared. That empty space is what turned a shocking crime into a legend. Investigators chased hundreds of suspects over the years, and some looked promising for a while. One man had military training. Another knew parachutes well. Another seemed connected to the name Cooper itself, which may have come from a French-language comic about a hero called Dan Cooper. Still, none of those theories ever fully match the evidence. The strange part is that the name most people remember is not even the one on the ticket. Reporters picked up the name D.B. Cooper after early confusion with another suspect, and that mistake became part of the myth. The FBI studied his clip-on tie and found tiny particles that suggested he may have worked around metal or chemical materials, possibly in an industrial setting. In 1980, a boy named Brian Ingram found part of the ransom money buried along the Columbia River at a place called Tanabar, and the serial numbers proved it came from the hijacking. That discovery only made the mystery deeper because it showed some of the cash survived, but it did not explain whether Cooper survived. The FBI kept the case open for decades and finally ended active investigation in 2016, still without a name. Nobody knows if D.B. Cooper died the night he jumped, landed, and disappeared, or lived long enough to watch himself become a myth. That is why this case still feels so dark. A man threatened a plane, vanished into a storm, and somehow stole his place in history with him. If you want another case that still leaves investigators staring into the dark, follow Dark Case.